Welcome to the Musar Video Blog. So the news have been filled this week with that tragic event, the helicopter crash, Kobe Bryant and a number of other people in the helicopter along with him. And of course it's terrible news, it's tragic, it's very sad. And the media has been filled with a lot of stories about that. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all times. And I'm not here to give a eulogy for him, but the Chovos HaLevavos tells us that one of the ways that Hashem sends us messages is through the events in the world. I mean, we don't want bad things to happen. We surely don't. But sometimes they do. And after the fact, what are we going to learn from it? So I was thinking about this, and of course, a very basic thing comes to mind when something like this happens, is that we all have to become really appreciative of what we have, of all the little things, of all the people in our life, of all the blessings that we have, and stop focusing on the negative. Stop complaining and kvetching because this didn't work or that didn't work. At the end of the day, most of that stuff is not that important. Granted, there are some big things, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about all the little, insignificant trivialities that plague people and get in the way of their being really happy and appreciative of what they have. And even if they're not so trivial, but a lot of times it's not so terrible. Focus on the good, because appreciate it while you have it. You never know. You never know. There's another thing that struck me about this is I was reading some of the articles, and he was a great basketball player, no question about it. But when you read what people are saying about him, they're saying he was such a good guy, and he was such a good husband and a father and a this and that, all kinds of stuff. He was a hard-working individual. And he was even someone who was somewhat religious. He used to attend services weekly. And another thing that really struck is people said that he made mistakes. He was human. And some of his mistakes were big mistakes. But he took ownership. And he admitted his mistakes. And he moved forward. And didn't try to make excuses for himself. And try, I didn't do it, or this, or that. At some point he said, okay, I did it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. Whatever it was, let's move on. So there's a lot of, little messages, lessons that we can learn from actions in his life. But one thing that struck me is that when people are praising him, you don't see that people are saying, oh, we lost such a good basketball player to the world. Oh, the world is missing someone who really knows how to dribble. That's not what they were saying. Everyone was focused on what we would call spiritual values, the things that really count. Most of us will acknowledge that, when someone leaves this world, he doesn't want to be remembered that here lies a person that drove a Lamborghini. Okay, that's not what's important. Here lies a woman who was really a knockout. That's not what's important. I mean, those are good things, maybe, helps us get through this life, but it's the real values that count. And oftentimes, though, even though we acknowledge that these are their values, but what do we really cherish? What gets us excited? Is it the real spiritual values that get us excited, or is this other stuff, this worldly stuff, that really gets us excited? So I think it's worth asking ourselves, what are the values that I really think are important, that when I leave this world, those are things I would like to be remembered by? And are those the things that I truly cherish in my life right now? And if the answer isn't a resounding yes, then we should try to make it a resounding yes. So I think, again, two important lessons that we can learn from this. One is that appreciate what we have. And two is to make sure that we're excited and we cherish the really important values in life. See you next time.